Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. I'll allow people to join us on today's YouTube live. And we can start talking about the Republic of the Gambia. We can start talking about the government of Adama Barrow. We can start talking about geopolitics, events, international events. It's very important that we have these programs today and tomorrow and every time so that we can share our experiences with the world, explain to Gambian people what's actually happening in the government of Adama Barrow, explain to the world what's actually happening in the Gambia. This dialogue is very, very important. All right. So thank you for dedicating the time to come and listen to me. I'm going to start sharing this live program on different channels. So you guys can tune in. We can share ideas. Please feel free to type your messages here. All right. If you cannot hear me, if the sound is poor, or if you want something explained, type it in the comment section. This is the first time I'm going to start reading the comment section properly and responding to people's questions. So if you have any questions, something you doubt, something that's not clear to you, please let me know. I'm going to do the introduction in all languages, and then I'll switch to our Gambian languages because, as I said before, the aim between now and presidential elections 2026 is to explain everything in detail in our languages because a good percentage of Gambian population are not English literate. They can't read and write in English. They can't understand concepts. They can't understand what you're trying to explain if it's predominantly English, if it's spoken in English. So that's why I am doing my level best to start presenting my programs in our own languages so that matters are absolutely clear to everyone. So when people join in, share this link, share the YouTube live, let people comment, let them hear how the government of Adama Barrow is failing miserably at every attempt they're making to prosecute the former president of the Gambia, President Jammeh. Now, this is not like something to celebrate, but it just goes to show that the people that are outside of Gambia, governments outside of Gambia, organizations outside of Gambia, do actually think. Most of the time, they cannot be deceived by Gambian narrative. They cannot be deceived by Gambian people. So therefore, when Gambian people go out to the international organizations and try to perpetrate illegality, they get kicked back. They get told the truth that actually what's happening now in the Gambia is a case of not being able. There are no legal basis to instigate legal proceedings against President Jammeh, and there are no legal basis to be able to instigate legal proceedings against the military junta of the Gambia that came to power on the 22nd of July, 1994, and ceased to be in power on the 31st of December, 1996. I will discuss all these topics today, and I will also explain when the 1997 Constitution of the Gambia came to force. All right. And so that you guys will know that what I've been saying in the past was not made up. I will never make things up. When it comes to public services, I have zero intention. I definitely have no motivation to lie to any individual. My attempts to get involved in public discourse and politics activism is not so much about my personal gain or aggrandizement or what I'll get out of it. My involvement in politics or activism or any public discourse is to share my experience, share my knowledge, share my views on different topics that I get involved in. Yeah. And that's what I do on a regular basis. I'm not there looking for money. I'm not there looking for position. In fact, I'm losing a lot by being involved in activism, in politics, in many other public events, charity work. I get nothing out of it. I lose a lot, all right? But that sacrifice I'm willing to make so that our general populations will be well informed, our country, the Gambia, will be well administered, that people have been informed enough to make decisions that are sound for themselves, sound for their future, sound for the future generations that will come from them. All right. So, okay, people have joined in now. Let me start with the ECOWAS Parliament session of yesterday. And I shared an audio into the Voice of Lamin Tamba WhatsApp network. There are Voices of Lamin Tamba 1 and 2. There's Voice of Lamin Tamba 1 and there's Voice of Lamin Tamba 2. There is a network of individuals on my WhatsApp chat groups who get very well informed, and that's what I created for. My participation is to give people the power to make informed decisions. That's why I'm in politics for. Now, ECOWAS Parliament, let me start with English, then I'll go to Mandinka, Jola, Wolof, and whatnot. Let me start with English. Now, the government of Adama Barrow quietly, some of us knew, okay, because I get well informed about events in the government of Adama Barrow, especially when it comes to activities and actions that they intend to take against the president, former president of the Gambia. So Gambia had a military ruler from the 22nd of July, 1994. And his military rule ended on the 31st of December, 1996. His name then was Chairman Lieutenant Ruling Council, which was from 22nd of July, 19 of the Gambia, which came into force on the 1st of January, 1997. President Jammeh, after being a military ruler for 2 years, decided to resign from the army, contest the presidential election of September 1996. Or was it October 1996? I cannot remember. But anyway, it was at the last quarter of 1996. He won the election convincingly. He became our second civilian elected president of the Republic of the Gambia. All right. The first elected president was President Jawara. From 1970 to 1992, he was elected, but he was overthrown in 1993. There were elections before that, but what we had was a first minister, Pierre Essenjai. Then Jawara took over for him as a first minister, and then prime minister, and then president when we became a republic. But that's history. What's happening now? The 1997 Constitution of the Gambia set aside provisions to insulate the military junta. The Constitution created immunity provisions for the military junta from 22nd July 1994 to 31st of December 1996. These provisions were supposed to indemnify the acts or omissions of the military junta from 22nd July 1994 to the 31st of December 1996. Sorry guys, I forgot to record this for my WhatsApp colleagues, and I'll start the recording now. Sorry, I forgot to record it completely. Sorry guys, let me pause it for a minute. Let me do voice recording so that people who haven't got the privilege to come to YouTube and listen to me and watch me can benefit from this session at a later time or a later date. Airplane mode so that nobody interrupts the recording. There we go. So today is the 5th of July, 2024. So what was I saying? So the Constitution of the Gambia set aside provisions. The topics today, for the benefit of my WhatsApp groups, the topic today would be ECOWAS Parliament vote against the intentions of Gambia government to institute the hybrid court, Special Tribunal, with the sole purpose of prosecuting President Jammeh. It's not even in Gambia's national interest. They wanted to set up a hybrid court, a tribunal to prosecute President Jammeh. But under the 1997 Constitution of the Gambia, we came to force on the 1st of January 1997. That's when it came to force. Now, it sets provisions in there that provisions that give the military junta immunity from acts from prosecution or from commissions that would be set against the Armed Forces Provisional Ruling Council. So the Armed Forces Provisional Ruling Council was 5 lieutenants. I think there were 2 second lieutenants or 3 second lieutenants and 2 full lieutenants at the time that the president of the Gambia, Jawara, the first republic of the Gambia, was overthrown. So President Jammeh came to power as a civilian elected president in January 1997. That's when he became a civilian president of the Republic of the Gambia. All right. So therefore, the Constitution says categorically, let me read this quite clear to all of you so you can hear it. I do this exercise so that people know that I'm not here to lie to anybody. And I'm doing this in English so that ECOWAS can understand what I'm saying, so that Gambian people can understand what I'm saying, so that other people who follow me will be in no uncertain terms. And these provisions are entrenched in the 1997 Constitution of the Republic of the Gambia. Now, entrenched clauses in the Constitution will set forth means in which such provisions will be amended or will be expunged from the Constitution. Those provisions will have their own ways of changing them. Once they're entrenched in the Constitution, there is a specific way of going about repealing, amending, expunging those immunity or constitutional provisions from the existing Constitution. So now, let's have a look. Let me see if I can open the Constitution of the Gambia, and then I'll go to Schedule 2, Paragraph 13, subparagraphs 1 to 5, which set the immunity provisions for the military junta, 22nd July 1994 to 31st of December 1996. And the Gambian Constitution is written in clear, simple, formal English. There is no trouble interpreting the Constitution of the Republic of the Gambia. It's quite simple. Maybe it will be difficult for other people, but not for law students or keen followers of law in the world. And for law students, I am one of the law students. I did full substantive law in the United Kingdom at the London South Bank University, and I graduated with very good grades. I'm not going to mention it because people will start thinking that I was blowing my own trumpet. I graduated with good grades, despite the fact that I was traveling the world while I was doing my degree, law degree. I was shooting films internationally. I was traveling to Gambia to attend festivals. My attendance record was not great, but thankfully I pay attention to my lessons, my classes. But besides the point, the Constitution of the Gambia is in simple English format. All right. And it sets, let's go to Schedule 2, Paragraph 13, subparagraphs 1 to 5. And listen, the Constitution of the Gambia says that no commission should be set to investigate what the junta did and what the junta didn't do. When they say acts and omissions in law, is anything you did while you were in power during the military junta, anything you did, nobody should bring a lawsuit against you to say, President Jammeh, President Jammeh's police force or President Jammeh's army slapped me the other day, so I'm going to sue President Jammeh to court. You can't do that. Presidents across the world, and this is a fact, every president in the world has got presumptive immunity. Every president, this is a given. Every president in the world has got immunity of some sort, because it's impossible to become a president and not have your police violating the rights of citizens, and not have your army violating the rights of citizens, or not have your hospitals not treating patients properly, or not having your teachers teaching the students properly. So therefore, if heads of state didn't have any immunity, Anybody can bring any sort of action. I could be sick today, and I go to the Gambia hospital, Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital, and I get badly treated or not treated, and I lose my arm. I could turn around and sue Adama Barrow and say, because you didn't provide good antiseptic care in the hospital, you didn't provide good care for me, I'm suing you to court for losing my arm. And because I've lost my arm, it has incapacitated me, my potential earnings in future. It has changed my life permanently for the rest of my existence. So therefore, Adama Barrow, I'm going to sue you to court for not equipping the hospital with the correct equipment and medication to prevent me from losing my arm. Therefore, Gambia government, I would like you to pay me $50 million to compensate the loss of my arm. The other one can say, because the road is not properly paved, my car went into a ditch, I fell over and killed my aunt or my uncle. Therefore, you should pay me $10 million for to compensate the passing of my relative. That's why there are immunity provisions provided for the president, because you cannot be everywhere at the same time. You can't be everywhere even for 1 minute. It's not possible. Most of the roles of the president are delegated responsibility. They are assumed delegated. When he appoints a minister, he automatically, under the laws of the secretaries of states or secretaries of state, he's delegated his part of his responsibility. So if we have the Minister of Agriculture, the president appointed them, automatically he's appointed him and delegated him automatically, delegated the responsibilities of running the Ministry of Agriculture. What the president then has to do is, when the Minister of Agriculture comes and gives him advice, he needs to act on that advice or not act on it. But if he's not going to act on it, he needs to give the minister reasons why. The president should not fail to act on credible information that's been put on his table or her table, and has had time to review that information. That's why every president in the world has got assumed immunity, which is recognized by all international bodies, including the United Nations. You can't take President Jammeh to court because his teacher slapped you, or because a police officer slapped you in the street, or you went to the hospital and there was no paracetamol in the hospital and you had a headache. That's why these provisions are there. But anyway, let's go to Schedule 2, Paragraph 3, so that you guys know. I'll come to the ECOWAS ruling. I'm setting the ground so that you guys can be in no uncertain terms as to why ECOWAS ruled that way. Obviously, heads of states outside of the Gambia are very wise. They're not like Adama Barrow. They're not allowing people to dig holes for them so that when they leave power, they can face the same tribunal and hybrid court as Adama Barrow. They're smart. They don't allow their officials. They do not allow their delegates or parliamentarians as ECOWAS Parliament, their national delegates that go to ECOWAS Parliament to vote. They will not allow them to pass any law that's dangerous, that's illegal, that in the long run will set a dangerous precedent. It will set a trap on which they will trample on when they leave power. Only Adama Barrow is allowing his government officials to dig holes for him. For instance, by violating the Constitution of the Republic of the Gambia, to set up commissions against President Jammeh, to instigate legal proceedings against President Jammeh illegally, in violation of our 1997 Constitution of the Republic of the Gambia. All right, so that's why I'm explaining these things, so that all of you will be in no doubt at the end of this session, which is not going to be a long session. I'm going to be here for a maximum of 1 hour, and then that will be it. That's why I want to start with the ECOWAS provisions, and then I'll end up with the charges leveled against Abasanyang, the former Minister of Lands, the former Governor of CRR. I'll come to that in a minute. So let's go to the provisions that give President Jammeh constitutional immunity and the military junta constitutional immunity. So we're going to start it chronologically in time. So the military junta came first. Okay, let's go to Schedule 2. Where's Schedule 2? Entrenched clauses. So Adama Barrow's government or parliament cannot change these clauses. They can only be changed by going to a referendum for people to vote to get these clauses changed. So anything that the government of Adama Barrow does to these without a referendum would be illegal. All right? So that's why they know if these cases go to a referendum and people know that the government of Adama Barrow is trying to lift immunity provisions on the Armed Forces Provisional Ruling Council or President Jammeh, their attempt to lift these entrenched clauses will fail, because today, President Jammeh is by far more popular than Adama Barrow. Everybody knows that. When you do a random, impromptu interview in the streets of Gambia, 90% of the population will say, we prefer President Jammeh to Adama Barrow. We prefer President Jammeh to Adama Barrow. We would like President Jammeh to come back. We would like President Jammeh today. When President Jammeh was here, this sort of nonsense wasn't happening in our streets. When President Jammeh was happening, this sort of killing of our pregnant sisters, aunts, wasn't happening in the hospitals. When President Jammeh was here, this killing of Gambian children via poison medicine was not happening. I'll come to our languages in a minute. Let me read this in English. Then I'll translate it in Jola, Mandinka, Wolof, so that people will know. All right? Okay, so we're here. Entrenched clauses. All right? Actually, I'm not there. This is the setup of our security forces. Where is it? Entrenched clauses. I'll read them quickly. So you guys give me a minute. Appointments and resignations. We're almost there. Just be patient. I'll get there in a minute. Okay, Schedule 2 of the Constitution, 1997 Constitution of the Republic of the Gambia. I'm going to jump straight to paragraph 13, all right? That's the one that the ECOWAS Parliament probably relied on. Okay, paragraph 13, legal proceedings. This is entrenched. This was there since August 1996. And I still got articles from Amnesty International where they were complaining that the military junta has put immunity clauses in the draft constitution, which was going to a vote in August 1996. And those immunity provisions will ensure that nobody will be able to take any action of any sort against the military junta. Amnesty International article of August 1996 is still online. Go and have a look if you don't believe me. They complained that in the draft constitution, which was voted into existence in August 1996, I wasn't eligible to vote that time because I was under 18 in 1996, so I couldn't vote. All right. So therefore, many international organizations were complaining that people shouldn't vote for that draft constitution in 1996 because it's going to indemnify the military junta. Whatever they did or didn't do will not be able to be tried in any law court on Gambian soil. And this is why. Now, when the draft constitution went to referendum, over 75% of the eligible voting age of the Gambia voted that constitution in. They were in favor, they loved it. The military impressed everyone. They brought about development that we never saw on Gambian soil before. So therefore, people gave them overwhelming support in 1996. In fact, people pressured President Jammeh and got him to resign from the army and contest as a civilian president. All right, so now, paragraph 13, subparagraph 1. The heading is legal proceedings. I'll read it quickly because I don't want to stay here that long so that you guys can understand. And I'll translate it in our local languages, all right? So it says, paragraph 1, no member of the Armed Forces Provisional Ruling Council, any person appointed minister by the Armed Forces Provisional Ruling Council or other appointees of the Armed Forces Provisional Ruling Council shall be held liable or answerable before a court or authority or under this constitution or any other law, either jointly or severally, for an act or omission in performance of his or her official duties. All right? And what are official duties? You saw the ruling of the Supreme Court of the United States just this week when they ruled that Trump has got immunities for some of the official acts that he did. And those will include taking classified documents with him home, because it's impossible to become a president and have your regular hours of work. It's impossible to be in a military junta, which is, military juntas are well known for counter coups and instability. So therefore, if you were part of the Provisional Ruling Council, you were on your toes all the time. You're on high alert. You could be called to State House at 1 a.m., 2 a.m. You could be out to see of the chairman of the Armed Forces Provisional Ruling Council. You could be patrolling the streets. You could be doing stuff that were all part of your official duties. So therefore, in my view, when you become a president or a cabinet minister, you no longer have official time, finishing time, ending time, because you could be called to a crisis. You could be out to meetings until late, even Parliament. Sometimes they're debating until 3 a.m., 4 a.m. So therefore, what they did at 2 a.m., if you don't like it and you say, oh, those are not part of your official duties or official hours, tough. All right? So now, it says, that's paragraph 1, subparagraph 1 of Schedule 2, paragraph 13. So it says, no member of the Armed Forces Provisional Ruling Council, any person appointed minister by the Armed Forces Provisional Ruling Council, or any other appointee of the Armed Forces Provisional Ruling Council should not be answerable before any court or any authority. When they say authority, they're referring to Commission of Inquiry, just like the Jammeh Commission. They're referring to TRRC. That's what you call authority. Or under this constitution or any other law, either jointly or separately, whether you're one person or many people, or whether as a group they brought the action, or they brought the action against one person in the case of Yankuba Toure, he should not be answerable to any court or any commission for what Yankuba Toure did in power or didn't do in power, acts or omissions. For an act or omission in the performance of his or her official duties. You can't bring any action against Yankuba Toure or against the Armed Forces Provisional Ruling Council, against one individual of that council or against a group of that council or their appointees or their ministers. You cannot. That's what the Constitution says, whether you agree with it or not. This is why I keep saying, whether we like people or not, let's not violate the laws of the land in order to put our hands on them. Because then we would demonstrate that we are not actually better than the people we are accused of carrying out illegal acts. If you're committing an illegal act in order to bring somebody to law, you're breaking the law. You're not better than the person you're trying to bring before the law. Change the law first if you want. Change it. Change the constitution of the Gambia. Take it to a referendum. Make sure people vote for it before you start putting your hands on President Jammeh and the junta. But some of these laws, you cannot make them retrospective. The Jammeh Commission certainly cannot go retrospective because that's not a criminal investigation body. They were looking at the transactions, the activities of the military junta and President Jammeh from 1994 to 2017, illegally. But because it says civil proceeding, they can't have a statute that gives them retrospective powers all the way back to 1994. With criminality, yes, you can go back all the way. Sometimes statutes don't have limitation. You can try somebody for a crime they committed 60 years ago, but those are criminal proceedings. They are not civil ones. Civil ones in the United Kingdom, if somebody owes you money and you didn't bring action against that person within 3 years, you're likely not going to succeed if you instigate the action, unless you've been trying to negotiate with that person for 3 years and it didn't work out, then you took them to court. But your first action against that person should start within that 6-year period. Your record of fraud or whatever they accuse you of should be in the last 6 years. It's not something you would have done 10, 15, 20 years ago for civil proceedings. Somebody owes you money. But for criminality, if I punched somebody 20 years ago in the United Kingdom and broke their jaws and they couldn't find me, and they eventually found me via some checks or random stuff, I will still be tried for that crime. Jammeh Commission, the Commission of Inquiry, was set up as a civil sitting. All right? They were there to investigate activities of the government. They weren't looking at criminality and other things. TRRC was looking at potential criminality. You could say if that was fraud, it's criminal. But again, if somebody committed fraud, why did it take you 20 years to bring up that action? Paragraph 2. After the coming into force of this constitution, and this constitution of 1997 came into force on the 1st of January 1997. After the coming into force of this constitution, it shall not be lawful for any court or tribunal to entertain any action or take any decision or make any order or grant any remedy or relief in any proceedings instituted against the government of the Gambia, or any person acting under the authority of the government of the Gambia, or against any person or persons acting in concert or individually to assist or bring about the change in government, which took place on the 22nd day of July 1994 in respect of any act or omission relating to or consequent upon. Listen to this. When this constitution comes to force on the 1st of January 1997, it shall not be lawful for any court or tribunal to entertain any action or take any decision or make any order or grant any remedy or relief in any proceedings instituted against the government of the Gambia or any person acting under the authority of the Gambia or against any person or persons acting in concert, individually or whatever, to assist or bring about the change in the government. You cannot take action against President Jammeh for changing the government on the 22nd of July 1994. That's what that paragraph 2 is saying in a nutshell. But it continues and says, you cannot bring action against the government. The change that happened on 22nd of July in respect of any act or omission. An act is what the junta did. An omission is what the junta failed to do, but you want to take action against them. You cannot bring about any legal action or any commission or any tribunal or any authority against the junta for changing the government on the 22nd of July 1994. And paragraph 2 has got subparagraphs A, the overthrow of the government in power before the formation of the Armed Forces Provisional Ruling Council, or the suspension or abrogation of the Constitution of the Gambia 1970, which was suspended on 22nd July 1994. The 1970 Constitution was suspended on the 22nd of July 1994, and they're saying this entrenched clause says you cannot take action against President Jammeh and the military junta for suspending that Constitution or abrogating it, violating it, because overthrowing a government is a violation of the Constitution, but they suspended it. However, when they brought this Constitution and it came into force, you cannot go back and say, oh, you're guilty for overthrowing the government of President Jammeh. So paragraph B, the suspension or abrogation of the Constitution of the Gambia 1970. So paragraph C, the establishment of the Armed Forces Provisional Ruling Council. D, the establishment of this Constitution. So you cannot bring any action. You can't take President Jammeh to court, or Yankuba Toure or Edward Singate or Sana Sabali to court and say, we're taking you to court for overthrowing the government. It will be illegal under the 1997 Constitution. You can't do it. So paragraph 3 of paragraph 13, for the avoidance of doubt, because some people deliberately think they don't understand simple English, all right? Sometimes this English can sound a bit tricky to people who cannot interpret statutes. I understand that. But it says, for the avoidance of any doubt, so paragraph 3 says, it is declared that no action taken or purported to have been taken in the exercise of the executive, legislative, or judicial power by the Armed Forces Provisional Ruling Council or a member thereof, or by any person appointed by the Armed Forces Provisional Ruling Council in the name of the Armed Forces Provisional Ruling Council, except judges of the Supreme Court or the Court of Appeal, shall be questioned in any proceedings. So you cannot question Yankuba Toure at TRRC. You cannot question Sana Sabali at TRRC. You cannot question Edward Singate at TRRC. You cannot question President Jammeh at TRRC and not at the Jammeh Commission either. And you cannot take them to court for what happened during the junta. That's what it's clarifying here to make it even simpler for people to understand. It says, there shouldn't be questioned in any proceedings whatsoever, and accordingly, it shall not be lawful for any court or tribunal to make any order or grant any remedy or relief in respect of any such act. So why then is it mentioned in tribunal all the time? This is why I said to you, ladies and gentlemen, be patient. I'll get to the ECOWAS rejection of our special tribunal to try President Jammeh. I'll get to ECOWAS decision to overwhelmingly vote against the setting up of a hybrid court on Gambian soil. This is why. I deliberately kept on repeating tribunal in the constitution so that you guys will know. The government of the Gambia quietly went to the ECOWAS Parliament, Economic Community of West African States, which is 16 countries in West Africa. Gambia is an integral part of the Economic Community of West African States. So therefore, these entrenched clauses of the 1997 Constitution of the Republic of Gambia clearly states that no tribunal should be set to investigate or bring about a lawsuit or commence any legal proceedings against the Armed Forces Provisional Ruling Council, against an individual or them as a group, or bring action against the government of the Gambia for what the Armed Forces Provisional Ruling Council did. It will be illegal. And ECOWAS Parliament rightly voted overwhelmingly to reject Gambia's nefarious, evil plan to violate our constitution again. Not for the first time, not for the second time, not for the third. They've attempted repeatedly, obsessively, incessantly. The government of Adam Barrow tried and tried, persistently tried to violate the constitution of the Gambia and violated it in many occasions with the sole purpose of instigating action against President Jammeh, the arch enemy, the foe, wrongly regarded as their foe. Yet President Jammeh is regarded by many as the president that took Gambia from A to B. But these people, since they came to power on the 19th of February 2017, because the swearing in Senegal on 19th of January 2017 was illegal. It was unconstitutional. That was Adam Barrow's first constitutional violation. Yeah? That was his first constitutional violation, swearing in Senegal. The other one you can consider a constitutional violation, but Adam Barrow was not in power at the time, for refusing to hear the election petition of 2016 in the Supreme Court. That's a violation of the Constitution. But you cannot blame that on Barrow because he wasn't in power at the time. He was not in charge. All right? But that was his first violation, being sworn on foreign soil. There are no provisions in our Constitution of 1997 that allows a Gambian president to be sworn on foreign soil and have a mandate of the presidency. Oh, hell, if he gave that permission, I can swear myself in London today, United Kingdom, and regard myself as the president of the Republic of the Gambia. All I need to do is call a few buddies of mine in London and Birmingham and Bristol and cities across England and cities across Europe. Come and join my inauguration in London. I'm going to be sworn in as the next Gambian president. And I'll be Gambian president. That's what he says. That's paragraph 3. We've got 2 more paragraphs to go, and then I'll switch to our own languages and explain exactly this. And I'll explain in detail why the ECOWAS Parliament voted against this, the dangerous precedent they would have set. All right? So paragraph 4, subparagraph 4 of paragraph 13, schedule 2 of the 1997 Constitution, and I'll end up at section 69, which Adam Barrow himself cited when he wanted to hide behind lawsuits that were submitted against him in 2021. So Adam Barrow and his lawyers know that section 69 is there to cover President Jawara, to cover President Jammeh, and to cover Adam Barrow himself. He knows that. As I said before, Barrow and his people know what they're doing. They're violating the Constitution at will. They know what the Constitution says. They're doing it because power is in their hands today. They can violate it, and people like Lamin Tamba are poor, and we can do nothing about it. Today is the 5th of July, 2024. Voice of Lamin Tamba YouTube. This program will be presented in the Voice of Lamin Tamba 1 and Voice of Lamin Tamba 2 on WhatsApp network. Okay, paragraph 4. The provisions of subparagraph 3, which I just read, for avoidance of doubt, paragraph 3 said, nobody should take action against the junta or the government of the Gambia for what the junta did. No tribunal will have any right to investigate the junta or take action against the junta for what they did or didn't do. All right? So paragraph 4 says, the provisions of paragraph 3 shall have effect, notwithstanding that any such action is referred to in that subparagraph was not taken in accordance with any procedure prescribed by law. Absolutely emphatic. It made it absolutely clear, crystal clear, that the Jammeh Commission, which is I rightly called the Commission of Enquiry because it was a lie from the beginning. One, the qualification of its chairman, Surahata Jammeh. He was conflicted and he was a retired judge. Number two, the lead counsel, Ami Bensouda, was conflicted and should not have been at that commission. It was instituted illegally against the constitution that I just read now. And I called it Commission of Enquiry. Enquiry means lying investigation. Last paragraph in the entrenched clauses of Schedule 2, paragraph 13, so paragraphs 1 to 5. The last paragraph I'm going to read. It shall not be lawful for any court. It shall not be lawful for any court or tribunal to entertain an action instituted in respect of an act or omission against a person acting or omitting to act on the instructions or authority of the Armed Forces Provisional Ruling Council or a member thereof, and alleged to be in contravention of any law, whether substantive or procedural, in existence before or during the administration of the Armed Forces Provisional Ruling Council. It shall not be lawful for any court or tribunal to entertain any action instituted in respect of an act or omission against a person acting or omitting to act on the instructions or the authority. So some of you don't know acts or omissions. Acts are what you did. Omissions are what people think you should have done, but you didn't do. And sometimes they sue you for things that you should have done and didn't do. Like in this country, in the United Kingdom, if the road is an A road or B road, and there's a pothole in it, and you drive your vehicle and your wheel went into that pothole and broke the wheel, you can sue the council or the authority that runs that road for them to pay for the damage of your wheel. Everything it cost you when that wheel got damaged and the cost of the wheel, they'll pay for it. So you're suing the authority that looks after that road. It could be Transport for London, it could be Barnet Council, it could be Enfield Council. You're suing them for not taking steps to fill that pothole or to repair it. So that's what you call omission. That's something you should have done, you didn't do it, you get sued. Acts are something you did and people don't like it, or it's illegal and they sue you. So that's why they say acts or omissions. You cannot sue me because I didn't do something. You cannot sue me because I did something, because the law gives me power to do it. Or in this case, the law doesn't give you power to sue me for what I did when I was in the office from X to Y. Those are acts or omissions, all right? And then it says at the end of it, preservation of confiscation and penalties imposed by the Armed Forces Provisional Ruling Council. You can't do anything about it. So PPP cannot go around and start claiming land. Unfortunately, again, our Supreme Court ruled that the properties confiscated by the Armed Forces Provisional Ruling Council were done illegally because the chairman at the time was not qualified to be the chairman of the Balfour Commission or Balfour Commission. Imagine, it says here, preservation of confiscation and penalties imposed by the Armed Forces Provisional Ruling Council. Our Supreme Court, again, got involved. They ruled that the chairman of the Balfour Commission was not qualified to be a chairman. Oh, wow. So what about Surahata Jammeh at Jammeh Commission, COE, Commission of Enquiry? What about Lamin of the TRRC? Was Lamin a High Court judge? No, he wasn't a High Court judge. That, ladies and gentlemen, I'll come to Lamin High Court judge to tell you how illegal TRRC and Jammeh Commission were. But ECOWAS Parliament, the heads of states outside of the Gambia are smart heads of states. They know what's coming. They can sense what's coming ahead because most of the heads of states outside of the Gambia are educated, they're visionaries, and they can see what's coming. All right? They have got experience. They know if ECOWAS mistakenly passes a law or in Parliament that empowers Gambia to set a special tribunal or a hybrid court to investigate or prosecute President Jammeh, their heads of states that they represent at ECOWAS Parliament will one day become ex-presidents. And their adversaries, their enemies, their foes, their unjustifiably vindictive individuals, elements of darkness, will suddenly turn around and say, oh, Nana Addo, you were corrupt when you were in government. So we're going to go to ECOWAS and set up a tribunal to charge you for corruption or people who died during the protest in Ghana a few years ago. Nana Addo, you were part of it. You ordered it, even though there's no evidence to show that Nana was part of the planning or the committing of the acts or the covering up of the acts when they were committed. The heads of states outside of the Gambia are smart. They're not going to allow their delegates they send to ECOWAS Parliament or their foreign ministers they send to different places to go and vote in a position or for a provision that will one day come back to haunt them. That only happens under Adama Barrow because the guy is not educated. He's not smart. He has got no experience. The guy is sleepy 24/7. He's allowing two of his Ministry of Justice justices or ministers of justice, Ba Tambadu and Dawda Jallow, to dig a hole for him. And they're digging deeper and deeper. And who's going to fall in that hole first? Adama Barrow. The ECOWAS heads of states are smart. If they allowed Gambia to violate our constitution, number one, to set up a hybrid court illegally, to set up a special tribunal illegally, and they supported it, we will be trying President Jammeh in absentia or in his presence. But tomorrow, that same president, Macky Sall, will come and face it. That same president, Alassane Ouattara, for the people who died during his protest, will face it. That same president, the Mali junta, Burkina Faso junta, Niger junta, Guinea junta, everyone else is going to face it. Buhari will face it. Tinubu will face it. Talon will face it. Madabio will face it. All of them will face the same consequences when they leave office because the opposition or the government that takes over from them or overthrows them will say, okay, ECOWAS, in Gambia's case, you supported a special tribunal unconstitutionally, even though the constitution of the Gambia frowns on it, you supported it. So therefore, we're also here to pass the same law for Ghana, for Liberia, for Sierra Leone, for Guinea, for Burkina Faso, for Mali, for Niger. We're here to pass Benin, Togo, you name them. Ivory Coast, Senegal, you name them. So therefore, ECOWAS cannot turn around and say, sorry, we can't pass this law. Because the same delegates that went to the ECOWAS Parliament, the same parliamentarians, will be the ones who pass the law that traps and ties their ex-head of states and dumps them in jail cells somewhere. They know. And they know the Gambian constitution. Their lawyers would have reviewed the Gambian constitution because that's how it works. If you bring something to ECOWAS Parliament, and I'm a parliamentarian representing the Gambia, you bring a matter against Nana of Ghana, President Nana, I'll ask my Ghanaian colleagues or the Ghanaian government to supply me a copy of the Ghanaian constitution to review before I go to the debate and voting session. And if the constitution of Ghana states these provisions as in Schedule 2, paragraph 13, subparagraphs 1 to 5, that no tribunal should be set whatsoever to investigate Nana Kufuor or Nana Addo, I'm going to vote. I'm going to say, no, this is not going to happen in Ghana. It's illegal to do it in Ghana. And a tribunal cannot be floating in the air. Doesn't work like that. That's why the International Criminal Court is an illegal court. It shouldn't really be trying people. Crimes are committed on jurisdiction. But if they're committed while you're in air or while you're in a ship or boat in international waters or in international airspace, you will either be tried at the origin of the flight or the origin of the ship or the destination of the flight or the destination of the ship. You will be tried based on jurisdiction of that one of those pieces of land or one of those states. You cannot be charged for laws enacted in air. You cannot be charged for laws enacted in international waters. You'll be charged from the origin of the ship or the destination of the ship. So the international court cannot suddenly create laws to charge people, laws that are inconsistent with the laws of the Gambia. If the laws are consistent with the laws of the Gambia, fine. You can try them in the Gambia. Maybe you can try them at another country, not International Criminal Court. You see what I'm saying? That court should close. Anyway, they discredited it. United States, United Kingdom, all those countries have discredited the International Criminal Court, as we've been saying for years. And I'm glad President Jammeh and South Africa and others threatened to pull out of it before. Actually, President Jammeh, I think, probably pulled out of it. It has no jurisdiction. The people who set it up said they set it up for African people who don't obey their laws, who don't comply with the orders that they send to the African heads of states and warlords. They didn't create it for justice's sake. The International Criminal Court was set up to punish African people like President Jammeh, who refused to give them oil close to free, like President Jammeh, who refused to allow their culture that is inconsistent with Gambian culture. They want to go for people like Bashir, who refused to give them oil and sold oil to other countries. They want to go for Charles Taylor because when he came to power, he refused to bow down to them. If Charles Taylor came to power and gave Liberian plantations to the United States and Britain, they wouldn't have taken him to the Hague. That's what they do. Okay, let's go. This is the entrenched clauses that protect the military junta, 1994 to 1996. Quickly, let me go to section 69 now, and I end up at section 200, where the commissions have been demonstrated to be illegal in every way. All right, let's go to section 69 fast. Yeah, section 69. Where are you? Okay. Okay, gone back too far. This section 69, when the election petition was submitted against Adama Barrow and NPP in 2021, their lawyers cited that Adama Barrow was immune. You see how ignorant some lawyers are? They didn't even bother reading the whole of section 69 to see what it says, because section 69 categorically states that election petitions are not part of the immunity provisions. Election petitions can be challenged and the head of state has to respond to them. They are not part of the immunity. Of course, what's the point in passing a provision that covers the president against election petition? That means people will rig the election and nothing will happen to it. And then, UDP lawyer said, hang on, section 69 made it categorically clear that election petitions are above the immunity provisions. They're not covered under the immunity provisions. All right? So I'll read section 69, which Adama Barrow knows exists. That section 69 is covering President Jawara. May his soul be resting somewhere beautiful in heaven. That same provision is covering President Jammeh today. Same provision is covering Adama Barrow. But Adama Barrow was allowing Batambedu and Dauda Jallo to violate the same provision that he tried to cover himself with. This is how ignorant that government of Adama Barrow is. This is how slow Barrow is in thinking. But if you're not experienced, you're not streetwise, you're not educated, you spend most of your time sleeping and talking, trash talking your opponents. This is what happens. You can't be bothered to read, to understand what's happening in his government. All right? So now, section 69 of the 1997 Constitution, immunity from civil proceedings is the headline for section 69. Immunity from criminal proceedings. All right? Paragraph 1, except as provided in subsection 2, which is the Schedule 2 that I read to you guys before. Yeah? No civil or criminal proceedings shall be instituted or continued against any person while holding or performing the functions of office of president in respect of anything done or omitted to be done by him or her, whether in an official or a private capacity. So this is it. Listen, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. It says, except as provided in subsection 2, okay? No civil or criminal proceedings shall be instituted or continued against any person while holding or performing the functions of office of president in respect of anything they did or didn't do to be done by him or her, whether in an official or a private capacity. Section 69. Let me go to paragraph 2. I'm going to read this quickly because it's running up to the hour mark and I haven't got that much time. I need to do an airport run. All right? So it says nothing in subsection 1 applies to an action for a declaration under section 5, enforcement of the Constitution. A declaration can be a declaration of emergency, public emergency. All right? And any proceedings under that section against the president or a person performing the functions of that office shall be brought against him or her by his or her official title or style, and he or she shall appear and be represented by the Attorney General. So anything you bring against the president for what his government didn't do or did, the Attorney General will go and answer, but not what the president himself did as a person. So if you want to take the Ministry of Health for killing 73 babies under Dr. Ahmad Samate with poisoned medicine, you take the Gambia government to court, the Attorney General will attend, but you cannot sue Adama Barrow for it because he didn't clamp down on Dr. Samate. He didn't tell Dr. Samate to order medicine from an approved pharmaceutical company. You cannot take Barrow to court for that, but you can take Gambia government to court. That's what it's saying in paragraph 2. You cannot take Adama Barrow to court for what his minister didn't do, but you can take the government to court for the government failing to order suitable medication for the children. And then it goes to paragraph 3. Very important, listen to this, paragraph 3. After a president has vacated the office of president, no court may entertain any action against him or her in any civil proceedings in respect of any act done in his or her official capacity as president. So President Jammeh, Jammeh Commission, as I said earlier, I think I mentioned this and all of you heard it. I said Jammeh Commission is a civil proceeding. Yeah, those of you question my law credential. You know, Gambian people like people who show off. Or maybe they want to see me wearing a wig. Or maybe they want me standing in court before they believe that I know what I'm talking about. Now, this section 2, paragraph 2, paragraph 3. After a president has vacated office of president, no court may entertain any action against him or in any civil proceedings in respect of any act done in his or her official capacity as president. The tent at State House was bought for the government of the Gambia for official use. Barrow is using it as a banter bar today. He's doing all his frolicking in that tent that they said President Jammeh stole money from taxpayers to buy the tent. Barrow government and their officials were riding in vehicles that they said President Jammeh bought illegally. They gave away the VIP vehicles that President Jammeh bought for the Republic of the Gambia for functions like the OIC summit. They wanted to go and steal the water tank from Kanilai that they said President Jammeh stole from Social Security funds to go and build for the public. The rural electricity, rural fiber cables, all done by President Jammeh from the Social Security fund that the government of the Gambia took. Isn't that an official act? Why is that illegal? You don't want the rural communities to have water, to have electricity, to have internet. Who's enjoying it today more than anyone? You go to Koina, you get network in the Gambia to talk to people in the Gambia and outside of the Gambia. How is that embezzlement of public funds? How is that embezzlement of public funds? Paragraph 3, I read A, subparagraph A, which says no court may entertain any civil proceedings. Jammeh Commission is a civil proceeding. Shouldn't happen. TRRC starts with civil proceedings. Eventually, criminal charges will be levied, but they're all civil proceedings. That's why you can decide not to turn up at any of these commissions, and they can do nothing about it because they are not criminal charges from the police. Okay? Subparagraph B, paragraph B of paragraph 3 at section 69. Now listen. A criminal court shall only have jurisdiction to entertain proceedings against him or her in respect of acts or omissions alleged to have been perpetrated by him or her while holding office as president if National Assembly has resolved motion supported by no less than 2/3 of all the members. So section 69 can be removed from the Constitution if Parliament votes 2/3 majority to repeal this section, to amend it, or to bring about action. But you know why Barrow is not trying that? At least he's smart. He's not trying that now when he's in office. Because if Barrow tries to change this constitution, Section 69, he sends it to Parliament. And if Barrow takes it to Parliament today, many MPs will vote to remove Section 69 because I know UDP are hungry to pounce on him. APRC are hungry to pounce on him. Goodwill, patriotic Gambians are ready to pounce on him for the corruption that's taking place in Adama Barrow's government. Haruna Jatta's family would like to pounce on him. The Faraba 3 that he killed and 19 others who got injured will pounce on him. Families, other 11 people who died in police custody will pounce on him. 11 people who were killed in Fonyi by Adama Barrow's government aiding and abetting the government of Macky Sall will pounce on him. Mothers dying in labor because of power cuts or lack of blood will pounce on him. Adama Barrow will never send this Section 69 to Parliament to get it repealed. Do you know why? Listen, I say this to you all the time, but when I talk, some of these people that don't want to listen, they don't want to hear the truth, will say, oh, he's a President Jammeh sympathizer. I will not defend President Jammeh if evidence comes out. Caught on tape like the Kanilai demonstration. Caught on tape like the Faraba killings. Caught on tape like the beating of 3 years Jotna and others. And Barrow himself was bragging about it. Caught on tape like our mothers, our sisters, our daughters dying at labor because there's no power supply. There was a power cut in the middle of cesarean operation. There was no blood supply. There was no ambulances, nothing. Do you know why Barrow will never take that to court to be amended? This is why. So ECOWAS Parliament has rejected Gambia government's attempt to establish a hybrid court, tribunal court in the Gambia, or anywhere on ECOWAS jurisdiction for exactly these reasons. ECOWAS would have reviewed the Gambian constitution and said, hang on, it's illegal for you to establish that in the Gambia. So therefore, why do you want to get us involved in it? Secondly, if we get involved in it, we're basically setting a trap for our own presidents. When they leave office, we're going to institute these same tribunals against them, even if our constitutions have provided legal immunity. This is what the government of Adama Barrow, they know it's illegal. They know it's illegal because power is in their hands. They can violate it. But Barrow, sadly, we know what happened. UDP said he flunked all his exams except 2. I don't know whether he passed religious education and PE or whatever. I don't know what the truth is. But we all know that the guy lacks capacity. Some of his current ministers said he's a Keren Kafo. Some of his current ministers said he has no intellectual pedigree. He's violating the constitution. Jammeh Commission could have investigated the government of President Jammeh from the 1st of January, 1997 to 21st of January, 2017, but only look at other officials, not the president. They could have looked at other government departments, other officials, not President Jammeh. It was illegal when they started investigating President Jammeh, according to Section 69. It was illegal when they started investigating the military junta, according to Schedule 2, Paragraph 13, subparagraphs 1 to 5. The TRS is the same. But what did our Constitution say about setting up commissions? What did it say about the qualification of judges? I'm going to read this quickly. Sadly, brothers and sisters, I cannot now switch to our own languages, but I'll come back again and do one in our own languages. Because I wanted this message to get to people to know the kind of lies and deception that's pervading the political atmosphere in the Gambia. All right, I wanted our people who cannot read and write in English to understand some of these provisions I'm reading out and explaining them. I have to go somewhere. I need to do an airport run. So let me read this quickly. Section 200 to 203 of the 1997 Constitution stating what the qualifications of a commission of inquiry should be. All right? They violated that too. The Supreme Court ruled in favor of the PPP mafia. They said give them back their lands because the Balfour Commission had a chairman who wasn't qualified to be a chairman of a commission. How? But the Constitution clearly says that you cannot bring any action against what the military did or didn't do. That anything that was seized during the military junta cannot be given back to them, because there was no constitution at the time. It's ruled by decree. So why are you going back to undo the decrees? All right. Section 200, commissions of inquiry. I'll read this quickly, very quickly. Commissions of inquiry. The president may, whenever he or she deems it advisable, issue a commission appointing one or more persons, which is fine. Adama Barrow has set a commission on Faraba shootings. He set up a commission on Gambia Ports Authority because none of them is a president. You can set commissions on them. Perfectly legal. President can set those commissions. Appointing one or more commissioners, authorizing such commissioners to inquire into the conduct of any public officer, conduct of any district chief or alcalo, the conduct of management of a department or authority, any matter whatever arising in the Gambia, yeah, in which an inquiry would be the opinion of the president to be for the public good. Yeah. The National Assembly may request the president to establish a commission of inquiry for any of the prospects set out in subsection 1. So the MPs are asking Adama Barrow to set a commission of inquiry to investigate where President Jammeh's properties, materials, and everything that belonged to President Jammeh, where it went. Let's investigate Batambadu. Let's investigate Dawda Jallow. Let's investigate Amadou Ba. Let's investigate Ousainou Darboe. Let's investigate everyone that was in government between 2017 and 2019 when these commissions were running. And find out what happened to President Jammeh's materials, his properties, his cars, his bank accounts. The president can set them. Our National Assembly members of APRC No Alliance are asking in Parliament. The government of Adama Barrow is not entertaining it. The Speaker of the National Assembly, who was supposed to be a Jammeh supporter, is not entertaining it. Why can't they set a commission to investigate what happened to President Jammeh's assets? What happened? Why can't they set it up? Why can't Barrow set it up? Why? Paragraph 3, yeah, of Section 200. Except as may be ordered by the presiding commissioner in the interest of public morality, public safety, or public order, the proceedings of a commission of inquiry shall be held in public. Fine, we know that. Okay, Section 201. A person shall be appointed a sole commissioner or the chairman of a commission of inquiry. That should change to say chairperson because they can be women these days. Yeah. A person shall be appointed a sole commissioner or chairman of a commission of inquiry. Shall not, okay, it says shall not. A person shall not be appointed a sole commissioner or chairman of a commission of inquiry unless, so Surata Jammeh should not have been appointed unless Lamin Cisse of the TRRC should not be appointed unless, listen, subsection A, he or she is or has been a judge of a superior court, whether in the Gambia or outside it, or he or she is qualified to be appointed a judge of a superior court. When we're talking about superior court, we're talking about the High Court, the Appeals Court, the Supreme Court, not the Magistrates Court, not the Qadi, not the county courts. We're talking about the High Court and up. High Court, Appeals Court, Supreme Court. Whoever the chairman or the chairperson of the commission is should qualify to be appointed as the High Court judge, or you would have served as the High Court judge. Lamin Cisse of the TRRC, was he a High Court judge? No. Surahata Jammeh was, but we'll get to Surahata Jammeh's issue now. One of them is conflict of interest. He had a bone of contention with President Jammeh for not paying his taxes. He had scores to settle with President Jammeh for not paying his taxes. That's why they talk about conflict of interest a lot in law. If you have conflict with an individual, you must not sit any proceedings involving that particular individual. Again, they violated the Constitution, but we'll get to his age in a minute. But this is what it says. So we know Lamin Cisse was not a High Court judge in the Gambia or a Superior Court, not outside of the Gambia. I was not aware of it. I looked at his biography. He was not a judge of any Superior Court anywhere. Therefore, the TRRC, again, after violating Schedule 2 and violating Section 69, it violated the appointment of a chairperson again. All right? So it says, where a commission of inquiry consists of more than 2 members, at least one commissioner shall be a person who has special qualifications or knowledge in the field of the matter under investigation. Fine. That's okay. Because Surata Jammeh knew, Ami Bensudan knew, Essa Fall knew, Lamin Cisse knew. All right? But Lamin Sise is not a judge, so he's not qualified. SRFAL could be a lead counsel, no problems with that. But even he is conflicted. He was conflicted. Just like Ami Bensouda was conflicted. Ami Bensouda was working with President Jammeh. She aided and abetted him. She enabled many things that the government of President Jammeh did. She was the lawyer for Social Security and many other government parastatals, Gamtel and co. She should not have sat in there to investigate herself. How do we know she didn't suppress a lot of information that implicated her? Anyway, so it goes to the next, all right? It says, functions and powers of the commission. A commission of inquiry shall make a full and impartial. So these sections are not really relevant. So 200 and 201 are the ones that disqualified Lamin Sise and Surata Jan. I'll come to it. Surata Jan's age will soon be mentioned here. I'll jump to where the age is so you guys can hear it. All right? In the Gambia, judges are retired by 70. Surata Jan was older than 70. But he did serve as a high court judge. His problem is he was conflicted. All right? That's the problem. But Lamin Sise was not qualified. Both commissions violated the Constitution. Okay? So immunities of witnesses, that's immunity. Witnesses can say, I'm not going to come to the commission. You can't force anybody to go to a civil proceeding. They can decide not to go to it. It's not a criminal offense. Like Yankuba Toure did. You don't have any right to question me because the Constitution gave him the powers. They violated it. They went to ECOWAS. ECOWAS rightly voted against the illegal act of the government of the Gambia. So therefore, they cannot set a hybrid court or a special tribunal to try President Jammeh in Gambia. That's failed as well. But their own legal advisor from the United States, the savior, the white person who hunts for black dictators, the white savior, Reed Brody and Jeffrey Smith. No, actually Reed Brody told them, not Jeffrey Smith. Jeffrey Smith ran away from this gang when he found out they're a gang of criminals very quickly. Reed Brody told them, under the current provisions, legal procedures, statutes in the Gambia, you can't try President Jammeh successfully because there are no statutes on which President Jammeh could be tried. So therefore, the only other way around it is setting up a special tribunal or hybrid court, like what happened to Hissène Habré in Senegal. Even that is illegal. So now ECOWAS said, no, we're not going to have that. But Macky Sall, obviously, he's a slave to the saviors with a different color, the white saviors. When they tell Macky Sall to do something, he'll do it, even when it's illegal. That's why, again, thankfully, Gambia government went to ECOWAS when Macky Sall's been kicked out of office and disgraced out of office. Because if Macky Sall was in office, he would have gone and lied to his colleagues like Ouattara, lied to his colleagues like fellow slaves like Talon, and then they'll connive and pass this illegal act against the government of the Gambia, against President Jammeh, and against the military junta. Macky Sall would have done it. That guy doesn't believe in himself, doesn't believe in emancipation of the black person, doesn't believe that we're kings and queens. That guy bows down to the white savior. He's got the white savior syndrome. Black is not good, white is good. We're all equal. We should treat each other equally. We should all be respectful. Follow the law, even if you don't like somebody. I don't like Adama Barrow's presidency, but I'm not going to support anyone who wants to violate his fundamental rights. That's the difference between many people in Gambian politics and myself. If you violate the right of a UDP person, I'll defend the UDP person. Same with DOI, same with NPP, same with APR, same with GDC. Have your rivalry. Beat each other clean, based on competence, based on credibility, based on experience, based on skills. Don't beat each other by abusing the law because you got power in your hands at that particular moment. That's the difference between Lamin, Tamba, and these people. Today is the 5th of July, 2024. I have no penchant to conjure up stuff that doesn't exist. No motivation to lie, no motivation to deceive anyone. All these constitutional provisions were there since August 1996. But if they were amended correctly, they become constitutional provisions. Some of it cannot be amended unless it goes to a referendum, which is like Schedule 2, giving the military junta total immunity. You can't change it unless it goes to a referendum. But if Barrow wants, he can repeal Section 69. Why is he not changing Section 69? Barrow knows. So after all, Adam Barrow is not that slow. He just can't be bothered to wake up and smell the coffee. As far as they're violating President Jammeh's rights and sharing his properties between them, he doesn't care. But when it starts coming close to his head, then he wakes up. Adam Barrow said he didn't care what his ministers were doing in power until his position of presidency became threatened. Then he woke up, sacked the whole UDP camp in his cabinet, sacked other people from his cabinet because they were threatening his position. So he wakes up when his position is threatened. When we submitted the election petition in 2010, and he woke up, his lawyers woke him up. Oh, you need to go and cite Section 69. That gives you immunity provision until he said, oops. If you go to the Elections Act, Elections Degree, it says Section 69 doesn't cover immunity for election processes, electioneering processes. And then they said, oh, okay, well, now we're going to face the petition. Only they know what they did with the Supreme Court. Supreme Court said 1 out of 3 means of submitting the election petition was not fulfilled. So therefore, they threw the election petition out. The next minute, High Court said 1 out of 2 provisions of submitting a petition against Issa Fati was not fulfilled. But anyway, Issa Fati's case is in public's interest against the police. So therefore, we'll give the police permission to carry on with the hearing. Oh, Issa Fati, an single individual, her case is public interest. But an election which determines how a state is run, who runs the state, is not public interest according to Supreme Court. Why didn't they allow it? 2 conditions were fulfilled, 1 wasn't. Why didn't you allow it? How is it not appropriate to serve a petition and a lawyer representing the government in an election petition? But it was appropriate to serve a chief of protocol who has nothing to do with legal proceedings. So when you serve a petition for Adama Barrow on the chief of protocol who has nothing to do with legal proceedings, that's deemed good service. But when Adama Barrow picks a lawyer who actually represents him, who should actually be the right person to serve documentation on, the Supreme Court said that's not correct submission of a petition. That's not deemed accurate service, correct service of an election petition. And for that reason, they killed that public interest case. The #1 public interest case, they killed it because of that reason. Who are these people? When are we going to be honest individuals? When are we going to stand up and defend Gambia, not defend individuals? When are we going to stop defending Adama Barrow, even though corruption under him and his wife has become palpable? Did you see what just happened to his wife? The scandal about the medical goods that came to the Gambia? The $35 million that came from China? Dr. Sir? But then they're taking action against Abasanyang and Dr. Banja, the only two people that Adama Barrow's government brought economic crimes charges against: Abasanyang, Dr. Banja. Dr. Banja, Abasanyang. Dr. Banja said, this bribe, half of it will be for me, half of it for the minister. Where's James Rumus Gomez? He was in charge. They burned up the Ministry of Fisheries. He wasn't charged. Ahmad Bah and the ecologists and the GTB are getting double allowances, getting double fuel coupons. Gambia Tourism Development Area lands have all gone under Ahmad Bah's watch. What happened to Ahmad Bah? The alleged theft of President Jammeh's vehicles and cattle. Where's Ahmad Bah? Ahmad Samate stood here and said $148 million of COVID funds is missing. I lost it. 73 children. For all we know, it's a lot more than that. Hundreds of children died from the acute kidney infection from the made in pharmaceutical company in India. Ahmad Samate is still charged. What's more serious than killing 73 children? What amount of money is greater than the killing of 73 children? Ahmad Samate is still serving. Demba Sabali, through negligence of his government, the Food and Agricultural Organization, FAO, withdrew $200 million that was meant for agricultural sector in the Gambia. $500 to $700 million of fertilizer went missing, according to Adama Barrow. The Minister of Agriculture before Demba Sabali is walking freely. Demba Sabali is walking freely. Musa Drame, with all the land allegations misappropriation of land. He's still serving. He's now at fisheries, not the lands minister. Oh, they said Abasanyang created a company in his son's name and gave contracts to that company. Usman Bah, the Minister of Digital Economy or Digital Transformation, whatever they call it, was allegedly awarding his own company contracts or companies associated with, a company he's worked with before, or is a shareholder contracts. He's still serving as the Minister of Digital Economy. I remember that scandal last year. Where's the 600 million that they said was in President Jammeh's illegal account that they shared between themselves, coalition partners, in 2017? That scandal came about 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Coalition partners are still working freely. Oh, but they're going to charge Abasanyang. They already charged Dr. Banja and jailed him. They just pardoned him not long ago and freed the man. They should go and expunge his convictions. Quash them. Gambia Ports Authority, the commission, 400 million, 300 million gone missing. Gambia Ferry Services, 32 million they spent on buying bus engines for a ferry. When the engines turned up, they knew they were bus engines. They're not suitable for the ferry. They put the general manager on suspension, garden leave. He's still there. Adam Barrow's own wife shares the same bed with the wife. 35 million. Adam Barrow said, oh, we were struggling to go to China for the trip. If they sent it through government without taking time, that's why they sent the money to my wife's account, something like that. Flimsy, inexcusable. But they'll charge Abasanyang. Abasanyang doesn't have connections. He doesn't have backers. Abasanyang's biggest mistake, apparently, is stealing some money from, allegedly stealing money from NPP coffers. If he stole the money, allegedly, from Gambia government coffers alone, he would have been a minister by today. Nothing will happen to it. You can steal money from the government. Dr. Ahmad Samad stood here. I said 148 million went missing right before me. My department is corrupt, he said. Barrow didn't sack him because the money didn't come from NPP coffers. But if you steal from NPP, you're doomed, you're sacked, you're done. But Dr. Banja faced it. Abasanyang is about to face it. Both of them don't have connections in government. They don't have backers. They don't have family relations. The Minister of Injustice is not interested in fair justice. The government of Adam Barrow is not interested in fair justice. They banned Mohamed Sabali here for 10 years from public office, something I thought was outrageous and illegal. As soon as he started supporting NPP, those charges were cast aside. Yeah, the white paper was amended. Mohamed Sabali is back as a presidential advisor. He deserves to be working in government. Whether he's supporting Adama Barrow or President Jammeh Hussein Dabo, the Janneh Commission was illegal when they set out to investigate some of the acts. But how come you took the recommendations of the white paper and banned Mohamed Sabali for 10 years from public office? Suddenly, he starts supporting NPP. The 10 years disappeared before anyone could blink. This is the kind of justice that we're facing under Adama Barrow. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm running late. I got to set my journey to the airport to pick up my son. So I will come back again. This topic has got a lot of scope for discussion. Our population should know all these things. My intention is not to earn a penny from this. My intention is not to earn a job from this. My intention is to empower Gambian populations and those outside of Gambia with correct information, legal information, perfectly legitimate, clean information, so that they can make informed choices. And if choices are made with adequate information in the Gambia, there's no way Barrow is going to be able to defend his term in 2026. However, with a divided opposition, with an opposition that's defending their crooked party leaders, even when it's evident, defending their brothers in government, even when it's evident, we are not going to succeed in changing the perilous path of our nation. We have many zombies in this bus being driven by Adama Barrow. We're heading to an almighty crash. That crash, Lamin Tamba will not be a part of, will not be involved in. If you're a genuine opposition, Adama Barrow is bad news. All opposition parties can come together. But we need to abandon our partisan agenda, become bipartisan. Look at Gambia first. Stop defending wrongs. When wrongs are clear, they are on paper, they are on video, they are on email. we should not defend them. Allegations, hearsay, we should cast them aside until we get substantial information. But when the information is clear as day, on the billboard, writings on the wall, we must not defend it. If we want to unseat Adama Barrow, we need to forego our partisan agenda. We need to abandon our individual interests. It's time for collectivity. It's time for patriotism. It's time for nationalism. It's time to save the Republic of the Gambia. And we cannot succeed in saving our nation, seeing the back of Adama Barrow, if we keep chasing President Jammeh, if we keep chasing Halifa Sallah, if we keep chasing Hussein Odabo, if we keep chasing Mama Kane. That's why I deliberately started questioning some of the inconsistencies, the flip-flopping between opposition party leaders. They were vocal before 2017. They were accusing stuff before 2019. They were saying stuff before 2019. Then after 2019, they're all quiet. After 2017, they're all quiet. Why? It's because they're either in favor, that's why they've gone quiet, or their favor has been withdrawn from them. That's why they started making noise. No, we have to be consistent. We have to look at what's good for Gambia and fight for it. We have to look at what's bad for Gambia and cast it aside. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, the time is now. The time is now for all of us to come together and save our republic. If we care about Gambia, if we want Gambia's existence, Gambia to succeed, the time is now for the opposition to raise their game. We need to stop the partisanship that is dominating our political landscape. We need to look at unifying a force. And when we're saying come together, we're not saying we're going to come together and put Hussein Odabo as our flag bearer, or Halifa Sallah as our flag bearer, or President Jammeh as a flag bearer. The people come together, have a sound framework with a good foundation, and people decide who they want to pick and put as the front runner. That's how it works. We're not going to go and give our party to Dabo, or UDP is not going to go and give out their party to President Jammeh, or Halifa Sallah is not going to come and give his party to Mama Kande. We come together, set a framework, we all agree, we're happy with this, we go with that, kick Adama Barrow out, save our country, and start developing it again. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, I end this YouTube live today. Thank you very much for dedicating time to listen to me. The truth prevails. The truth always lasts. Time is a master. Time is a judge. Time is a healer. When people start doing the wrongs, advise them, dissuade them. If they don't want to listen, let them go and crash. And that almighty crash, that big bang wallop, is what Gambia government faced at the ECOWAS Parliament. Thank you very much for ECOWAS. I've been critical of you guys of late, and I still have to be critical of you guys of late. And I know the rejection of the Gambia government's attempt to establish a hybrid court, a special tribunal to prosecute President Jammeh, is illegal under the Gambian constitution. It's illegal under the ECOWAS charter. But you also had your sound calculations of ensuring that your current heads of states don't fall into the same trap when they leave office. And that is what smart, observant, law-abiding citizens of West Africa should do every single day in and out. Look at the merits of a case. If they're illegal, throw them out. One appeal to ECOWAS. The joint declaration of the Gambia, 21 January 2017, which is published on your website, published on the UN side, published at the AU side, which gave President Jammeh permission to come back and live as an ex-president and get his ex-presidential benefits with immunity, with protection, with security. Please go the next step and arrange a swift return of President Jammeh to Gambian soil. ECOWAS Parliament, please. You need to do this. President Jammeh left Gambia to maintain peace, to avoid war. He deserves to be rewarded for that prevention of war, for the patriotism, for the love of mankind. And he needs to be awarded for the same. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Have a very good evening. Thank you.